Welcome everyone to another edition of Sunday Brunch. I am Chris Parrish alongside with Bobby Money Munson, and then I am making sure that we are going to have a great one tonight. But first, or today, I guess. So it's hard for me to tell whether it's day or night. I don't got a window down in my basement that where I'm quarantining. Uh, so, both that being said, you know who does have windows? Rich King of RK Athletics One. He can tell you if it's 3 degrees sunny today in the Edmonton area, and he can tell you it's a great day to get your life back in check and make sure that you go and check him out where you can get all your nutritional, all your educational in terms of the, athletics, whether it's working out, whether it's, the regimens. Make sure that you have all the information needed where you can do everything you can to stay a healthy living life moving forward. And then also make sure that you're checking out the ticker below. Our another sponsor, Manscaped. Make sure you go to manscaped.com. Make sure you use the promo code Love Wrestling, where you can get not only 20% off, but you also get free shipping off those orders. That is a great deal. And they have so many great products, just like the Lawnmower 4.0, just like a nose trimmer, just like some anti-shaving ball deodorant, some ball cream, some great pieces of clothing, like amazingly comfortable t-shirts and boxers. It is just amazing. There is much more to go, so make sure you're checking out there. And before we get started, and before I get to my the person that I'm with, Bobby, we also have another Bobby. We have Bobby in the chat. Bobby, happy birthday.
Happy
We just
birthday,
wanted to
Bobby.
make sure that we wish you a happy birthday here from Love Wrestling. And then we also have Lou Morgan 1990. Hello. And
Bears fan there.
yeah, and then we also have Cody. We branching. That he's like, nope,
or
we brunching. Astrid, hello. Thank you for popping in. And Bazzer 69.
Bazzer, Ryan.
Showing some love to Bobby. Appreciate that. And then Graham Pooh Bear Spencer hopping in. Morning. And then Astrid also giving some love over to Bobby, who's celebrating a birthday. Hopefully we can make the beginning part of your birthday a great day. But first, I got to introduce the person over here. Man, there we go.
Good morning,
pointing
everybody.
To my pillow, apparently, because, why wouldn't I?
Yeah, good morning. Hey, how's everyone doing? I hope everyone's as excited as I am to be here today and talk a little bit of wrestling on our brunch time together. As always, Parrish, it's great to see you too, man. How you holding up there?
I am doing a little bit of all right. I think COVID is, way out. I think it's just, it understands that when they're, going to me, they're going to be doing the job. So they're not going over. So, but yeah, no, I'm doing great. Thank you. And I'm happy to hopefully by Tuesday get this quarantining out of the way and get back to regular life.
Perfect.
But yeah, so speaking of getting back to regular life, I'm going to start right to your neck of the woods in MLW, because Killer Cross seems like he's getting back to his regular life, and that is performing, or at least hopes, as it's been teased that he is rejoining the MLW roster, since you're the MLW guy here. Because we definitely got our guys for different promotions. So, what do you think about Killer Cross coming back to MLW?
Oh, I'm happy about this one. This is fantastic. And again, I don't know if it's been actually legitimately confirmed. So what it was on the most recent episode of MLW Aztec Underground, there was a very short clip shown on the TV. It was black and white with a old-fashioned TV screen right in the middle. And all of a sudden, an hourglass comes up, goes tick-tock, and everything explodes. So, of course, all the MLW fans exploded and assumed that we're getting Killer Cross back in MLW. And any true MLW fan couldn't be happier.
Yeah, I think it's just fantastic that he's found a place not only where he's comfortable at, but where he knows he can actually thrive and pick his career back up. I mean, we were talking just off air about how this was a place where he kind of initially started getting that, that buzz about him. So he's going back to what he knows. It's very similar to a lot of the guys who, decided to go back to Ring of Honor at the time, which is kind of ironic because how long have we been saying is MLW going to be like the New Day Ring of Honor? But at the end of the day, I mean, it's all about going back to a place you're comfortable with, a place that you enjoy. And MLW is definitely that place for Killer Cross. My question is, do we see his wife, Scarlett, go with him?
I don't see why not, especially like, I mean, again, you can have her there in his corner, but she could also technically work with the MLW featherweight division that's been prosperous over the 2021 year and going into 2022 as well too. So there's a lot of opportunity there for her as well. A lot of great mileage that they'll be able to get out of the two of them on their active television programs as well. So I'm very excited for this opportunity. They have their super fight coming up really soon here. So there's going to be a lot of big names involved. And I'd imagine that is going to be where we're going to get the first appearance from Killer Cross that evening.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think right away, I mean, just in my quarantine, I actually gone on the YouTube. I've watched some MLW. I would really love to see him go up against Hammerstone right away. That is a money match. I mean, I mean, you would know. I mean, that is your name, Money.
Of course.
But Bobby's got all the monies over there. But no, I mean, just right away. I mean, if you're a fan and you see Killer Cross coming back, I mean, I think that's a match you want to see. I think him against Jacob Fatu would be really good as well.
And against Alex Kane all day, I'll take any match against Alex Kane.
Oh, and then Darren Mason coming in. Hello.
Morning.
How are you doing? Thank you for coming out. Bobby has posed a question in the chat. Which tag team do you guys want to see wrestle at the Crockett Cup this year at NWA on March 19th, which is my brother's birthday, and March 20th, which is, I believe, Spencer's and Astrid's birthday.
Very nice. Well, you know what? If I had to make a pick for the men's side of things, I'm definitely going to go with the Von Erichs. I think, speaking of MLW, the Von Erichs have been a staple in MLW, and I think that they're a very well-conditioned tag team. Obviously, they have the pro wrestling lineage behind the name Von Erich in the first place. I think that this could really be their year to shine, and I love to see them step into the NWA and go into that Crockett Cup and really show the world what they're capable of.
I'm in trouble. But it's okay because birthdays are something to celebrate about.
You have some natural heat there, Parrish.
Yeah. Just a little bit. Some big time heat. Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where, I mean, I always think this is a place for, it'd be fun to have a nice little surprise. I mean, I've always said I would love to see FTR and NWA in some shape or form. Imagine if didn't FTR just have a match with some old school tag team just recently?
Possibly against the Rock and Roll Express, one of the greatest tag teams of all time, of course.
Would it not be a little fitting to see them on their farewell tour? Make a little trip to the NWA and the Crockett Cup.
Oh, of course it would be. And I mean, you could throw a team like the Briscoes in there too and tease that eventual matchup and even not quite give it during that particular tournament as well. Keep them just far enough away that they never quite meet up and keep the fans wanting more of FTR and the Briscoes. Yeah.
And then, of course, you also have, I believe it was Condona and Knox together. So you can't really count them out. Condona is probably doing some of his best work in his career right now, especially now just finally turning heel and in Impact and defeating Jordan Grace for their digital media championship. So good for him. He is definitely on a kind of a different level too. So have you watched much of Matt Cardona in NWA?
I listened more to Matt Cardona than anything. I don't think there's been a lot to see of Matt Cardona necessarily in the ring in NWA yet. Correct me if I'm wrong. There's been a little bit, but I think more so it's been Matt Cardona talking trash on the microphone in NWA right now, and he talks it very well. I mean, the things he's saying make sense, and yet he comes across like he is sort of the anti-heel figure in a way. Like I don't know how to explain it. He's not quite a heel where he's dastardly. Geez, Rob, stumble over your words this morning. But he's kind of that heel where it's like he's a heel because he knows he's on another level to the competition that he's going up against, and that's what makes him so good on a microphone right now, and why the world is finally paying attention to him more than they ever have before.
Yeah. Just because they're coming in, I'm just going to go straight to this one. Cody brings up Deonna Purrazzo and the fact that she has issued an open challenge for either her Ring of Honor or AAA championships for Impact this Thursday. He's asking if we have any guesses or predictions on who could show up to challenge for one of those championships. Um, I'm going to say right away, and you can correct me on the name because I know, sorry, I think it's Athena.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
former Ember Moon. I would love to see her uh, challenge for one of those championships. Um, and Melina, I think after her showing in the Royal Rumble, I think she doesn't she work?
She's for the NWA.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I mean we have seen that crossover before, haven't we not? So um, I don't know. Just to me, it would be a little bit nice just to see some names like that. But then again, like a Camille Hirsch would be nice too. But I think with Hirsch doing some stuff in AEW, I don't think we will, to be honest. But I mean,
Yeah.
what are your thoughts?
I mean, I'm with you on both choices, and I mean, even Dare Amazing brings up Valkyrie as well too, which is another good option. I'm going to go on a more like a level of somebody that I've seen here in Western Canada, has worked here and has all gone and conquered the world. I'd like to see Giselle Shaw actually show up on Impact and challenge for a title. I think that she's a very underestimated talent in some ways that the world hasn't quite paid enough attention to her, but I think they're about to. I think she is about to make that star-like breakthrough that she, deserves to be making, and it could take a moment like this where she steps up to a big challenge with Deonna Purrazzo.
Yeah, no, couldn't agree more. To be honest, it's one of those things too where it's almost a shame that she doesn't have consistent, consistent challengers just there waiting. Like it'd be great if she kind of had those, but the whole surprise factor that they're using with these challenges, I think they're doing very well. Because they're making you talk about it, and that's exactly what pro wrestling is designed for: is making you talk about things. Um, and if they can make you talk about it, then it's good. It's controversial or not. That's kind of the name of the game in pro wrestling. So I like it. Cody actually chimes in about Giselle, and she's like, Giselle is my hope / guess. The promo vignettes she's been getting, I'd like her to debut for the Ring of Honor title.
Yeah, that would be fantastic.
Yeah, I'd like her to see go for the Ring of Honor title, but I don't know if a debut for right away. And before I get to my reasoning, Dara says it's kind of crazy that Impact are using 4 women's titles. Yeah, but they also have a women's division, so it's a little different. I mean,
who isn't using 4 of every title in their companies these days?
I mean, that's just it. Like WWE also has, the Raw women's, the Raw SmackDown women's title, and then they have their tag titles, but
and the NXT
really
women's title. I mean,
yeah,
again, you got 4 championships in every company nowadays,
and they're better suited of just having one singles champ and one set of tag champs. But I mean, that's another story for another day. But yeah, no, my thing about Giselle, I just find if you debut somebody in a position and the goal isn't for them to win, that there is almost like a hangover effect after that because they have such a high on being debuted in such a huge spot that if they're not winning it right away after that, then they're only coming down from the perception that they're in a championship match. So that's why, like, I almost want them to. It's kind of like when Taz came in, and he went up against Kurt Angle, and he had such a high debut against such a upcoming star that I don't think their plan was to use him in a role higher than what they had him in. They just wanted to get the buzz and all that. So because of that, he said publicly, pardon me, but he said publicly that pop actually derailed his push because he got too over, which is a mind-blowing thing to hear. But yeah, and then it kind of just staled him. So I'd like to see Giselle kind of go up against someone who's credible, look really good, and then like maybe a couple months or a couple weeks on the road, she's at least vying for that championship. And the plan is to put it on her, and then we can start a good long feud with her and Deonna.
I mean, you could start that feud ahead of time. She can come out and make that challenge. It doesn't mean Deanna has to accept it from somebody the level of Giselle right off the hop. She could tell her she needs to earn it. You could have her taking on credible opponents and getting those victories, and Deanna finding reasons to keep herself away from Giselle. I mean, it allows the audience who aren't used to Giselle or seen her work to kind of start to grow with her a little bit. They start to sympathize, like, well, we're seeing this wonderful talent get in the ring and just mop the floor with her opponents, do an excellent job. Why isn't she getting her opportunity? Why is Deanna dodging her and stuff like that? And you build that credibility to the point that no matter who ends up winning the match, if Deanna wins in some sort of cheating fashion, she's going to get that heat that the fans are going to give based on their sympathy for Giselle. On the other contrary to that, Giselle can pick up that win, become a champion, and the fans aren't going to give her go away heat. They're going to actually accept her as a hero that conquered, one of the top women in the entire world right now.
Yeah, and even to my point, before I get to Cody's, like, I could be wrong, because look what happened with Paige when she debuted. She debuted, beat AJ Lee for the Divas Championship, and then she was off to the races. So I could be wrong as well. So there are examples be both. And Cody said, to be clear, I think Giselle should win the title, but the debut in a title match, hold her own, but have Maria Kanellis interfere. And that I actually wouldn't even mind, because then if you can lead that up to a good match with Maria, and then she goes over there, and then the next one is, like, I think that's a great build for her. That's, I mean, maybe I'm a little bit too close to the vest, as Giselle is a friend of mine, but no, I just want to see good things for her. So, and I like good stories. That's just mine. And then Bobby coming in saying, I would like to see Deonna Purrazzo versus Trish Adora for the Ring of Honor Women's World Championship. That actually would be nice, because it's fresh too. Like, and I think that's the one key ingredient that we're seeing with a lot of other companies right now, is we're seeing fresh. And that's exactly what, you know what, I'll even say it. There are elements of WWE's a game that they're still giving you some fresh things. It's not a continuous, consistent thing that they're doing, but they are giving you some elements of it. But just in generality, like, we're seeing a lot of that in AEW. We're seeing a lot of that in MLW. We're seeing that in Impact, and especially with their usage of the Ring of Honor nowadays. But yeah, we're seeing a lot of fresh and professional wrestling, and that is just a really good thing. So yeah, like what are kind of your thoughts about the scenes now in professional wrestling, as you're the one who is behind the scenes for the PPW in Saskatchewan? Like, how is keeping things fresh very important?
It's extremely important. I mean, of course, you want some longevity in your storylines and your feuds and stuff like that, because I mean, that's what pro wrestling essentially was based on. I mean, you used to see week after week a lot of the same guys taking on each other, and they had year after year long feuds with one another. The problem is that we're in an age where everything is available on TV. Most companies run 2 to 3 shows a week, and so it becomes really difficult, because it's not one week you're seeing it and then the next week you're seeing it 2-3 times hammering out in a television show. So I mean, you're speeding up the process incredibly quickly, and it takes a while for companies, I think, to adapt to that, and I think they're starting to finally do it. I think in terms of pro wrestling in general, there was such a lull during most of the pandemic, especially 2020 is almost like a write-off for pro wrestling, especially in my opinion. But going forward, it seems like companies are finally starting to understand what the fans want a little bit. I mean, yeah, of course, there's hiccups along the way, and you're not going to please everybody. But they're starting to understand we want more competition. We want to see some fresh faces. We want things that make us talk and make us want to tune in, because we want to see what happens next. And that's what makes good television in general. And now that the wrestling companies are starting to finally get, in the swing of that, they're starting to catch up to it, and it's starting to work out. I mean, 2022 already starting to be one of the better years on record for pro wrestling so far.
Yeah. And then Cody jumping in saying the instant gratification audiences don't really have patience for long-term story building anymore. And I kind of agree to that to a point too. And I think that's just the reality of the world now. When we see a world that is, ran by a cell phone and ran by the instant knowledge of something, I mean, it just becomes the norm. You look at, and I'm going to use like the Seth Rollins for an example. I remember when everybody wanted him to be the next guy. Hell, I can even go to Roman Reigns when he was the cool guy in the Shield, and then when he became the guy. And yeah, to the credit, like he was being pushed down your throat. He just got repelled by the fans to the point where he got some of the most boos you saw as a babyface. So yeah, I mean, we just have a very vocal audience now that will tell you whether or not they like it or not, especially online. But at the same time, that's just the world we're living in now, where I mean, you can call it a lot of things, but it's they know the people know what they want and they know what they don't want. But sometimes it just does go a little too far, and you don't let the product breathe as much as it should, because if you do, it could be a lot better than what it is too.
And yeah, I mean, we do, like Cody's right. We live in an age of instant gratification, and maybe audiences don't necessarily think or might not have that attention span, but yet everybody seems to love it when somebody goes back and plays off of something that ends up being long-term booking and stuff like that. So it seems like, yeah, instant gratification's there, but then yet going back to things that kind of are legacy to that particular feud or that story, people just get crazy about it and they love it, kind of thing. So I mean, I think both can work. It's just a really tough way to balance it out for pro wrestling companies, and they're finally starting to figure out a bit of a balance, and I think wrestling can only hopefully get better from there.
Bobby just wants us to check out NWA USA, where Austin Aries goes up against Luke Hawx and Darius Lockhart versus Arya Davari.
Beautiful.
But it was yesterday on NWA USA.
Well, you can check that out on YouTube. That's their one of their regular shows now too. So that's fantastic. I haven't checked that one out just yet, Bobby, but I definitely will. I love watching NWA, and I mean Luke Hawx. I've been enjoying some of his work lately, and you can't go wrong with Arya Davari. I mean, Arya Davari has just got a fantastic look, fantastic worker inside the ring, and I think could and should be pushed further than he ever has been.
Yeah, I think it's of all the people WWE has let go, I think this one definitely flew under the radar for a lot of people. Of, you know, this was definitely a guy that they probably could have used. But with that being said, you can say that with just about everyone that they let go. But I mean, nobody talks enough about Arya Davari and what he's able to do, and I think more people should. And I'm kind of in a similar boat with Buddy Matthews. I mean, he doesn't really get much time in the news lines as it is. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's all about preference too with people. So everyone's gonna have their own. So to each their own.
Yeah.
Heavily. We did see a few things this week in professional wrestling. We saw the eventual CM Punk versus Michael
Maxwell Jacob Friedman.
Yeah, I kind of want to start screwing up people's names on purpose just to see how many people get mad at me.
So Michael Jackson Freeman,
or well, I mean, or like Michael Jordan, fakey, or like whatever. It'll just be fun. I mean, like that was
Michael
the one
Jackson
thing about.
fanfare.
That's the one thing about Jericho I loved back in the day, and I know like Ashford and I have talked about it. Like, it's just so many, like, so funny when he's like calling Mitchell Cole or Vivian Garcia, Chris Benoit,
Michael J. Fox.
Hey,
well said, Astrid.
Be careful when you talk about Canadian legends. Actually, an Edmonton legend, by the way.
This is true.
Mary Jane Freeman, another one. I watched some old Spider-Mans yesterday.
Oh, we're gonna get brunch off the rails once again. Here it goes, halfway through, and we're going off with the crazy train here. So.
I mean, we wouldn't be doing our job if we stayed on the rails.
Was there a match we were talking about?
I think so. I mean, I don't know.
That's right.
So far off the rails now, I couldn't even remember.
That's right.
No, they eventually did have a match on Dynamite this week. I know it was a very highly thought match, and it was one of those matches where it definitely delivered. Were you able to catch it?
I did actually. You know, I tuned in because I really wanted to see what this one played out like. So I caught this live for the first time in a while. So I really liked it. I mean, I could split hairs on a couple things like the initial finish to the match and the ref finding the tape and not choosing to disqualify and choosing to continue on the match. Whatever. It's a split and hair thing that I'm not a personal fan of. But aside from that, everything else about the match was perfect. And I can tell you right now, CM Punk has been watching tapes of Bret the Hitman Hart over and over again because his selling is an absolute homage to the work and credibility that Bret Hart brought to a wrestling ring. And as I wasn't always the hugest CM Punk fan, but as of right now, watching his work inside that ring, I am loving it. Every bit of it. He put MJF over in this matchup twice in a sense. He actually went down for the first initial choke, carried it on, and put him over a second time. This was massive for MJF. Excellent matchup. I loved every second of it. Yeah, loved it. Great match.
Also marking the first loss CM Punk took under the AEW banner. And if you're going to do it, you do it big. And that's how I always think. So, yeah, much respect go out to CM Punk for the way that he does put over MJF in this match. Just an amazing show of selflessness, to be honest. Understanding that the star of tomorrow is MJF, and a win over him does more for him than a win over MJF for CM Punk. So very much like in the direction that's going. I do think this story will continue.
Oh, yeah.
Very interesting. Very interesting to see Warlord actually helping MJF, as you kind of thought that this could have been the apex to him maybe deciding to turn on MJF. So definitely their top story for me to kind of stay up on. So I definitely do encourage people to check out AEW and to watch that. And then, yeah, make sure you're checking back to the Love Wrestling and the Between Two Beards, where they detail that in full. And yeah, but outside of that, I was very interested to see a lot of other things in pro wrestling. Just kind of like we are in the road to WrestleMania season.
Yep.
And that's, if you're a wrestling fan, you like the road to WrestleMania. I mean, it's just that's just, it's just what it is. Like, it's been there for the last 30 plus years. I mean, it's what it, like, come on, it's a staple nowadays.
It's been there almost my whole life.
Yeah. And well, I mean, it's been there before I was born. So,
way to make me feel old, Parrish.
Yeah, there's a lot of candles on your birthday cake, Bobby. I'm just telling you in public, in front of everyone, that you have an inferno that even Kane goes, whoa. No, I'm just kidding.
No, I don't know if Cody's comment that he just made is a stab at my age, or if it's a stab at the fact that we saw the return of, no, not that one, the one below it.
No, I know. I just want to make sure that I'm getting them all in.
On SmackDown on Friday night. I don't know if you caught this, Parrish, but Goldberg came out and only acknowledged the tribal chief, as he said it will be his next victim. And the world simultaneously rolled their eyes at another prospect of Goldberg appearing on their TV. I am sorry. I didn't like this guy when he started. I didn't like him at all throughout any part of his run with any company, and I don't like it now. This is such an unnecessary, derailed match from the narrative going into WrestleMania, and now it makes me think, are they stupid enough? Wait, no, hold on, correction. They are stupid enough to allow him to end this reign of Roman Reigns and then make some sort of triple threat match at WrestleMania that nobody is asking for.
I think the only triple threat that we're going to see at WrestleMania, if there is one, involves Seth freaking Rollins, not Goldberg. I do not like Goldberg. I'm going to point that out as the number one fact. However, I do look at the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view in Saudi Arabia as a pay-per-view that majority of casual North American fans probably may not watch if it was in the USA or Canada. The fact that where I'm from, it is appearing at 10 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday, it's going to be difficult for me to watch that live.
Not so much me, but I don't do anything on the weekends.
But at the end of the day, I do not think Roman Reigns is losing his championship. There's too much stock into this title versus title match already. There has been so many subtle hints and then huge hints given that this is a direction that not only Brock Lesnar wants to go, but just from a character standpoint, but it just seems like it makes sense from a WrestleMania standpoint that a title versus title unification match at WrestleMania just sounds big. Yes. And then Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar, I mean, that's like a perceptionally your two biggest stars in the men's thing. On top of that, I also don't hate the fact that if somebody's going to be thrown into a match with Roman Reigns just to take a loss, you're doing it to a guy that nobody really will care about if he loses, opposed to an up-and-comer guy that you don't want to see have another loss in a big event. Like, did you want to see Cesaro just jump up in there, get a shot only to lose again?
No, but I don't necessarily need to see all the titles on the line at the sub pay-per-view that's going on, or elite pro wrestling event, whatever they call it this month. I don't need these title matches. Why do those cards have to have title matches on them in the first place? They're really just like the old in your house cards from back in the day that really were just bonus material in a lot of the senses. I mean, there was some good matches, but there really were just the filler between the big cards and stuff like that. And I really think when you got Royal Rumble in January and you got WrestleMania really right off the hop in April, you don't need to have a filler event in between. Start building towards the big show. Everybody is concerned with WrestleMania. Nobody is concerned about the Elimination Chamber. Yeah, there we go. Premium live event. Well, I mean, I'm sure that'll get changed to something else by halfway through the year when they sell out to every other company on the planet for the streaming networks. But who knows? I'm maybe just getting a little frustrated because I don't need title matches. We didn't need Brock in that Elimination Chamber. They should have used that Elimination Chamber to find out who is going to, go up against your other world champion if they do have another world title match at WrestleMania or something. Or start building some narrative. Have the Elimination Chamber be for an Intercontinental title for a change or something like that, to go along those paths. Something. I don't know. I think that what they're doing, you're right. It's probably going to still lead to Brock and Roman Reigns in the end, but why do we need it?
See, I think this is one of two things we're going to probably see. I think it's just another stepping stone for Roman Reigns, and like it gives him something to do without putting. I think. Well, I mean, it's hard because like this just doesn't. As much as I don't like the Saudi shows, they had to tie it in with like an actual pay-per-view idea, as it's not the Elimination Chamber, so it just kind of makes me just like only wish like what's the point of the Elimination Chamber being a pay-per-view anymore? Because
true,
one, like if this card doesn't already tell you that the brand split is already pointless, I don't know what could. In the sense of like, okay, Brock Lesnar's been on SmackDown. He's a free agent though. That's just a good general description saying that we don't have enough star power, so we're just giving Brock Lesnar the ability to help both shows out. Which I don't know, maybe you shouldn't release him like a Bray Wyatt or something. I don't know, just a thought. But with that being said, it's just like, man, yeah. And then and I do want to get to Astra's point here because
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they're going to have a women's elimination chamber, and I don't think they have enough women to do an elimination chamber that makes sense on a brand. Without, like, I would say the Raw probably has a better shot at it, but they've already announced Lita versus Becky Lynch now for the Raw Women's Championship, which, don't get me wrong, I would love to see that match. Like, I really would love to see that match because that is a match that, quote unquote, is a dream match. It's a match pinning two people from two different eras together. And it's very, in idea, very similar to Rock Hogan, Rock Cena. And then for the women, it's one of those big matches that you're taking a big star from the Attitude Era, and then you're taking the big star from the current era and you're putting them together. And I really think that they have a lot of dynamic ability that would put a good match together, especially with Becky as a heel. I'm very, very invested into what that match could be. My thing is you're putting in now in a platform where nobody's really going to see it live the best, because you're taking away a good chunk of your audience by having it in Saudi Arabia. And the time zone difference is not going to be beneficial for that match. That is why I don't think it's the worst idea for Goldberg to be there, because I don't think a lot of people are going to watch Goldberg as much. Like, are you going to, like, even if you're going to watch this show, you wouldn't have got up for 10 o'clock just to watch Goldberg.
Not just for Goldberg, definitely not. But then again, I wouldn't have stayed up till 10 o'clock to watch Goldberg, even back in the 90s, so it doesn't matter.
But had they did, like, say, Big E versus Goldberg, would you?
For Big E, maybe.
Yeah. So I think that's just it. Like, there is a time and a place for them to use Goldberg. I'm not disagreeing that this is a bad one to do. But I think if this is a stopgap just to eventually get to the Lesnar versus Reigns title versus title, I mean, it is what it is, and I'm just happy that of all guys, they've decided to use a guy that doesn't, like, a loss doesn't hurt him, opposed to a guy, if they were to put him in that position, a loss could hurt. Like, I wouldn't want him to see them waste a Drew McIntyre Roman Reigns match in this position. I wouldn't want to see them do a rematch with Seth Rollins, or, like, you see where I'm kind of getting at on that one?
That's completely fair. Now, yeah. I mean, if they're going to go through with this, the only way I can see coming out of it and me thinking it's good, I think Reigns needs to go over quick. I think this needs to be the exact thing Goldberg used to do to all his opponents. I think Reigns needs to mop the floor with him in under a minute and then be able to gloat that he's that good. He's on that level. Like, what did he say to Seth? He's on God status. I mean, he's on God status, God mode. Yeah, sorry. If he's on God mode, he can walk into that elimination chamber, 1-2 Superman punches within the first minute, pin Goldberg, take it clean. And as non-heelish as that sounds, at the same time, it's exactly what nobody expects to have happen.
Yeah, I got another tangent, so I'm just making sure I'm getting all the... Cody says, if USA and Fox agree, it's probably time to end the brand split. Don't know why I couldn't pronounce that one. I thought the split was important when the roster was bloated. Bloated. I love that word. But now they've thinned to point. Oh, Cody, this is fantastic. Now they've thinned to the point they could probably end the split and nobody would care. I think now it's just the point that their roster is not as convoluted as it used to be, to the point where now it makes sense.
Now, to the point of the brand split, I mean, the way you could make it work essentially still is, first of all, you got to amalgamate the belts. I'm sorry, there is way too many titles to fight for. They need to amalgamate them. And then the champions can be like the free agents, like Brock currently is, bouncing between Raw and SmackDown. Whoever your Raw champ,
gold should represent free agents.
Yeah.
Not just so much free agency, but like the ability to appear, like just be on both. Like,
you're a champion, you should be
immunity
on both shows because you're technically a top star in the company regardless. So being on both shows should be a staple when you're holding a belt for the company. And I think to do that, they have to amalgamate the tag belts. They have to amalgamate the IC and US belt. They need to amalgamate the 2 world belts and have just those champions bouncing between. And then the rest of the roster can do their spots throughout. I mean, yeah, they've got enough there that they can fill, 2 to 3 hours with other people on the cards, maybe use some enhancement talents in order to get some other people over in the process. And then you're not giving the fans the same matches on Raw, on SmackDown every single week and stuff like that. You can flesh more out, and I think it'll keep it fresh enough that we'll be interested in it. And then it makes the titles mean a lot more. I know that having like a Brock hold it for a while or a Roman hold it for as long as he has brought some prestige back to it. But at the same time, when you've got two world champions, you kind of diminish the point of the world championship in a sense, because all you are is now a champion of a Friday night show or the champion of a Monday night show.
I think now we just live in an era where we don't believe in the brand split. Yeah. And I don't know if people really. I think at times you either did or you didn't, and now it's just a time where nobody does. Like so it's not even I think they just want to see two good wrestling shows. They just want to see two good entertainment shows. Whether you want to put on, they just want to see two quality shows. They don't care about who's on it. They just want to see quality, consistent shows. And I think if WWE looked at that, and before we get to that, you guys are talking about the stuff I've been pitching for years. Yeah, Joe, some of us listen to you. Just saying. We agreed. People just want to see everyone on a roster being utilized. Yeah, and unfortunately, that just can't happen, though, because there is going to be time restraints. That is why you got to be able to use, other shows to help fill those voids. That is why, like, when you watch an AEW Dark, you're going to see some of the kind of the not as big names on there doing the majority of the work, but you're going to see a couple of the mid-card guys be treated as big stars. So by the time they're on Dynamite, they're looked at as bigger stars. Like AEW is doing a really great job of how they're perceiving some of their talent. And that is something I think WWE needs to start executing more with, like the main events, or, maybe bring back a Velocity or a Heat. I still have no idea why they chose to put away Velocity and Heat. Like, those are two great shows. And with the network, I feel that's something that, if they did right, that could be a benefit for a lot of the stars they don't decide to use. If they only had one woman's title, Charlotte would be champion most of the time. I love her, but I want but I also wonder if she would be the champion as much, because there's still more opportunity.
Now, let's define what an opportunity means. Like, opportunity to be champion or an opportunity to shine in a match with a champion, because some of the greatest of all time never actually were champions, but they got to mix it up with the champions, and they're remembered for the wonderful matchups that they brought into the ring and all the memories that they delivered to us as fans. So it's not always about them. They don't necessarily have to be the champion to be a champion of the people. I mean, the people's champ, as The Rock used to say. You can be a champion of the people without having to have a title belt all the time. Charlotte would be the champion quite lengthy, I'm sure of it, because Charlotte is a star. She conducts herself like a star. She carries a belt like a star. But they do have other stars there. When you've got your Becky Lynch's and you've got your Bayley's just around the corner, you got your Sasha Banks. They have built enough stars that you would see the titles go between those women in particular. And then you also have the women's tag titles that they could definitely keep around and maybe actually form some strong tag teams instead of these put together women's tag teams, and make those belts just as credible a championship on their shows.
Yeah, I mean, I think when I'm talking about opportunity, I'm talking about just TV time, because if you can get TV time and then use that like properly and use that in a way where, not only are you getting your point out, but you're putting out a performance to where people want to see more time come your way, then I think everything else will come into place. You'll then see the matches, then you'll see the feuds, the storylines, then you'll see the championships. Like all those little things are the sprinkles to the Sunday. But if you don't have the cone to begin with, you're not going to, or if you don't have the bowl or the cone, you're not going to have anywhere to start, right? So I think it all starts with TV time. It all starts with that. because we can see the power of a segment and how much that can really go. Man, William Regal is the king of the segments, right? Like, how
Yeah.
often did he not wrestle? But like, he is one of the most entertaining people we've seen in a while. Same with guys, Steve Austin. Like, as much as he did wrestle, he did a lot of promos as well.
Yes, he did.
So, and The Rock as well. Like, we're talking about people that like don't need matches necessarily to get over, but I think you just got to find out what the right opportunity for the right person is. Like when we see, people like Liv Morgan, yeah, I want to see her just in the ring more. And I think if she's in the ring more, then she just ups her status.
Yes.
If I want to see Charlotte, I want to see Charlotte in more big time moments. And I don't want her to see her talk down. I want her to be challenged because I think that's what you do when you have somebody like Charlotte. You got to challenge them. You can't have her in situations to, come down. You got to be able to see how much her star can actually shine. With that being said, there are going to be times where you got to have her, pay it forward once in a while too. But then when I see somebody like Cesaro, it's just like, the Seth Rollins, the Roman Reigns, those are the opportunities. And then, but it's with WWE, it's not just the opportunity, it's the consistency after the opportunity. And that's kind of it, because there's definitely going to be a translation issue between what you view as an opportunity and what they view as an opportunity. So you being the fans, they being the company. I'll just say, for the lack of the better word, but I mean, and that's always going to be two different things. And I think just us watching a wrestling product, we can already tell that. And then us being a part of wrestling product, we can already tell that. But also, like, another one that like I do like to talk about is we have an opportunity to see, I think, a really good Elimination Chamber match. And I think that's going to get lost in the shuffle with the Goldberg thing. But we have Bobby Lashley defending his championship against Brock Lesnar, which that's gonna add a lot to that match. We also have AJ Styles, who I thought, was that not the first time we saw AJ and Rey Mysterio in a match?
I couldn't confirm or deny that at all. I mean, it's the first time I recall seeing them come across each other.
Sorry. Has reached Randy Orton, Seth Rollins status. She doesn't need to be in a title feud anymore. She should be the canopy of secondary women feud right away. You know what? I completely agree, but I do think a secondary title for the women's right now is really irrelevant, because you need to worry about perception of the titles you have first before you perhaps crap on another one. But then, yeah, you got Rey Mysterio, you got Austin Theory, and this is an interesting one for me. I think this kid is going to look like a stud in this match, or at least look really good in a loss. And this is where, like, you can look good in a loss, because when we talk about opportunities, Austin Theory has an opportunity in that. And then, so we got Lesnar, we got Lashley, we got Theory, we got AJ Styles, we got Seth freaking Rollins, and then we have Riddle, who, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but Riddle is just lately. And a lot of people were very, very much on board with Riddle, elevating in the roster right now. And like, we've seen WWE now say, okay, we're going to put Riddle in this big match at Elimination Chamber, and we're not going to have Randy Orton there. So it tells me one of two things. One, that next week on Raw, RK Bro are not regaining the tag team titles, or they're not going to at least be like, they're not going to get them back from the Alpha Academy in this whole thing that they're doing. And two, we might even see Randy Orton get involved in this to set up a WrestleMania match, which I have no time for, because when you do stories within a stories and you do them correctly, now you're getting my attention.
Yeah, and you know what? I could see that working out this way is that Riddle gives up a good fight. He ends up getting taken out by, say, a Brock Lesnar or Bobby Lashley or something like that early on. And as he's making his exit from the chamber, I could imagine that's when we're going to get an RKO out of nowhere. Randy Orton stands there, gloats over Matt Riddle's body, sets up that matchup. And yeah, I could be on board with it too. I mean, Matt Riddle's got a good look. I could do without some of the goofy stuff sometimes, but I can get over with him because I know he's a legitimate ass kicker and I want to see more of him. And the stuff with Randy Orton has been fantastic so far. So, yeah, I mean, bring it on. That's a fresh WrestleMania match I haven't seen and I want to watch it.
Yeah, I want to get to this point because I have a feeling we might see this match for WrestleMania. I have a feeling Austin Theory might eliminate AJ Styles in this match.
Yeah.
And I think this might set up a WrestleMania match between Austin Theories and AJ Styles. I was very certain that they were going to do something big with AJ Styles at WrestleMania this year until I saw the Rumble and kind of like, okay, they're choosing just to go in a different direction here. But I really do believe that we're going to see an Austin Theory versus AJ Styles match at WrestleMania.
Good.
And I think this is a very good match for both guys because yes. I think Austin Theory has a load of potential. And I think AJ Styles, we're seeing almost him getting rejuvenated again, which is very scary for people, especially at his age. And he still moves so well, so smooth. And I'm excited because it's fresh, and you're going to get me with fresh 99% of the time.
And I know a lot of people want to dump on Austin Theory because he's a Vince pick guy and stuff like that, but I'll give you some reasons why Vince likes him. It's why Vince has been able to pick out some of the stars he has. I mean, everybody crapped all over Roman too, so now all of a sudden everybody loves Roman. And eventually Vince sees something in these guys, and it just depends on how it fleshes out. A lot of the time, the bad writing is what holds them from being the stars that clearly Vince is seeing in them. With Austin Theory, you can just tell it's his facials, it's his selling, it's his ability to pull these moves off very cleanly, might I add. He, at an age, what is he, 22, I believe Austin Theory is, and he's going out there in front of the capacity crowds that he is.
24 now, but yeah.
Okay, yeah, but I mean, he's young. I mean, essentially, he is still kind of green to the business, but he's going out there in a large capacity, mixing it up with guys like this. His work is clean. His promo work could use some reimagining and everything, but 98% of his game is pretty ahead of itself for what his age and his time in the wrestling business so far. And I think him working with a guy the caliber of AJ Styles at WrestleMania, if it is allotted the time and the respect that it deserves, this could be one of the matches that we are talking about throughout the entire year as being one of the best matches of the entire year.
Yeah, and I know Cody has brought out the comparison between Charlotte and Randy Orton. I really think Austin Theory is the Randy Orton of this generation for WWE because I have not seen a guy this talented and this composed in a ring at such a young age in WWE, and probably since Randy Orton. The guy's 24, and if we're saying his promos need work, I mean, what 24-year-old is a master on promos other than maybe MJF? And we always say, well, this guy's just a different level. And that's just it. Guys that are just on a different level, they're on that different level for a reason. Yeah. But I mean, I would definitely say Austin Theory is definitely on his way of being one of the pillars of WWE moving forward in the next decade. So yeah, I'm very interested, and I really hope that that's a match that they do, in fact, go with, because man, would that'd be fun to watch.
Yes.
And I don't think, have we even seen that match yet? Because I want to say they have, but they haven't really done anything in detail.
Yeah, and I think if they have, I haven't seen it personally, and on top of that, it's like it's not like one that's been thrown at us 100 times and hopefully won't be thrown at us 100 times prior to WrestleMania. And
Yeah.
like I say, a lot of the amount of time and respect. I mean, this can be your opening match of night one, even or something like that, to really get the crowd excited for WrestleMania. These two guys I know could give a classic. Yeah, I mean, you give them. Yeah, I'm even saying like 20 minutes. Like that's all they really need to give a really classic matchup. I mean, people think that you have to have 30, 40 minutes to get a classic out of two guys. When you have two guys that can sell and work as well as both AJ Styles and Austin Theory, you're going to get an exciting, explosive, fantastic, well put together matchup within a 20-minute time slot that people are going to remember and be talking about for the rest of the year.
Yeah. And I just want to get to other ones. Who's the next wrestler against Bianca Belair and Liv Morgan at WrestleMania? Bobby, I'm going to need a little bit more of clarification on what you mean by this before I answer that. And then Cody's like, I see the chamber match going one way. Brock or Bobby starts and sweeps through the other four men. For the first trying to, yeah, and like I do think we're going to see Brock and Bobby at the end. Like I don't think that's. I mean, I would love to see a swerve. Don't get me wrong. I think a good swerve is nice, especially hopefully it doesn't get cut. But yeah, no, I mean it. And that's why I always like, good TV shows. If whatever way, like if they think you're thinking this way and they get you there, that's always interesting to me. And then Joe said, I would agree with you, but Vince still prefers physically bigger guys, and he isn't that. Yeah,
but he loves Shawn Michaels.
That's exactly, and even Bret Hart. And Bret Hart wasn't that big as well. He liked too. It's one of those things where if you're really good, it's hard to say no.
Yeah.
He likes the big guys that are good. And if you have a big guy that can do this, then yes, he will go with them primary. And we've seen that with Roman Reigns, but also he has shown that, he goes with the Seth Rollins too.
Yes.
He has shown that, he will go with the Shawn Michaels, even though you had Diesel right there. Because, eventually you need the work rate, and that's sometimes it just goes. If they do live events again, that some of these big guys just might not go.
Going that route, are we?
Well, I mean, he's not with the company, so if he likes big guys. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, like, I think consistency does so much for you. And that's why, we're seeing guys like Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn re-signing with the company because, of that. AJ Styles has been pegged very, very well in the 6 years with WWE. I would also probably include Bray Wyatt in that one. And I do think Karrion Kross kind of is an honorable mention. I think that guy had a lot of potential on the main roster. And I think anybody in the last 2 years, or that's up for discussion, but that's a totally different discussion. And then who do you guys want to see? I want to see wrestle against Liv Morgan and Bianca Belair at WrestleMania. I have a feeling they're going to go with Belair and Becky at WrestleMania. And I don't know what they're doing with Liv Morgan, to be honest.
It's
really hard to say.
It's probably going to go the direction of, and I wouldn't be surprised because they'll probably do one night where they have the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, and the other night they're going to have the Women's Memorial Battle Royal that they'll do. Most of them are going to get stuffed into there. I mean, outside of the championship matches for the women, I have a really bad feeling that they're going to have nothing for them, and that's a lot of their problem for just not building it properly for that possibility. And just to get them on screen, which is fine, they're going to dump a lot of these great talents into a battle royal.
Yeah, a name I would love to see work with Liv Morgan is Bayley, because I do think she will get a lot out of Liv. She is, I think, one of the better complete performers in WWE on the women's side. I see a lot of Natalya in her in the sense of working with yet I think she's one of the biggest stars that they have. And I thought her injury was just really bad timing as she was just finding her knack. And it was just an unfortunate timing thing. I also wouldn't mind seeing Sasha Banks against Liv Morgan. I think we all can admit that Sasha is better suited as a heel. And
They could,
I would love to see that, to be honest.
they could also go the direction of having the Bellas versus Liv Morgan and Sarah Logan. I mean, it was kind of teased within that Royal Rumble as well too, and not too far off of something that they would do for WrestleMania.
Yeah, even if it's like a triple, and here's the thing, like if you were to do, say, a triple threat for the women's tag team titles, and you had Zelina Vega and Carmella go up against the Bella Twins, Sarah Logan, and Liv Morgan, I would have time for that.
Yeah,
I would actually have time for that.
Yeah, you've got good work rate, you've got star power in there. It is something that people are going to pay attention to, and I think it would be fantastic. So, yeah, I mean, let's go that direction. I'd love to see them pull that one out.
I completely agree with this, Joe, because I think if they learned one lesson when Seth Rollins came back, they messed up by not going full babyface. They really should have put Seth as the babyface while Roman, and kind of used Roman more in the heel role with that one. Especially when your big play was to even put the title on somebody else. But I mean, with that being said, I would love to see Bayley be put in that position to help elevate the second tier parts of the women's division, like the ones that really just need that catapult more. Like I thought Bayley and Liv had a lot of steam, but I thought the fact we knew Liv was never going to beat Becky really derailed the momentum that Liv was having at the time. But I think in a non-title match against Bayley, Liv could stand to win a couple of those matches, and I don't think it hurts Bayley. So, and it only helps Liv. And I think that's a situation where we're talking earlier about MJF versus CM Punk. You know, you're kind of getting that positive rub in that situation as well. But now we're just armchair quarterbacking, right, when it comes to the roster. So
we really
again,
are. But that's what Sunday Brunch is all about, though, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, who doesn't like to do that? So, yeah, I don't know. You got anything else? Is there anything else you want to talk about?
To be honest with you, I think we covered most things that I would have paid attention to this week in general. I mean, other than that, it's just a matter of like getting back to local shows again and stuff like that. And the excitement carries on there as we're starting to see full capacity crowds again and stuff like that. But again, even with full capacity crowds, people just make sure to keep remaining safe when you're going out to these shows and respecting other people and their boundaries as well too. And just be respectful when you're supporting your local promotions.
Yeah. Bobby, I do have a question for you.
Yeah. What's up?
Have you shaved your balls lately?
Well, this is kind of a personal question, but I do like to keep clean. As you can see, I'm all about keeping nice and smooth all the time. So I'm not going to say that I haven't.
Well, I mean, I'm glad, because if by chance you were to say no, I would have just told you to make sure you go to manscaped.com, because if you don't know anything about Manscaped, Manscaped is definitely a product where they specialize in the genital area, making sure that your genitals stay groomed. And they're more of a men's grooming genital area, but at the same time, they care about the boys. And you know what? It's all about the boys, loving the boys, right? And so if you go to manscaped.com and you want to use a promo code LOVEWRESTLING by chance, you know what? You can shop on all their products, which is the Lawnmower 4.0. You can get the nose trimmers. You can get, the ball deodorant, the shaving cream. You can get all these beautiful products, the comfortable shirts, the magnificent boxers. And you can get 20% off your order. You can get free shipping. So make sure you're going to manscaped.com. Use the promo code LOVEWRESTLING and save yourself some money. Because if you want to save some money, you know what that money you can do?
I don't know what
Bobby,
you
do
can
you
do
know
with
what
it.
you can do with that money?
I definitely do. I think we're going to go to
You bet your sweet ball sack
whatamaneuver.net/collection/love-wrestling.ca.
we're going to whatamaneuver.net. And we're
And
going to get some great gear. I mean, you can get an extra bizarro natural shirt on there.
you sure can.
You can get a shirt that says natural all over your chest. I mean, I'm
And I
natural.
mean,
I'm sure you're natural. I mean, we can all be natural if we go to whatamaneuver.net and picked up one of those natural shirts from Astrid. I mean, why not? Just, I know she wants to make sure that you can get all the good stuff. You can get the blowing the budget between two beers. You can get all the stuff. Love Wrestling. You can get the Pride colored Love Wrestling shirts. And then make sure you're also going to lovewrestling.ca. And then you can also make sure you pick up one of those Live, Laugh, Love Wrestling shirts. They are selling very well. Make
I
sure
got
you
me
do
one.
those.
Very comfortable.
Yeah, and then also make sure that you're just you go into the Twitch. You're if you have a Twitch, just make sure you give us a follow. I mean, that'd be appreciated. You're also going to the YouTube. That'd be very appreciated. We know the boss Spencer Love. That's where he was coming from. So if you wanted to go say hi to him on YouTube,
And
he's
don't
on
forget your best friend Rich King there.
Oh, one, I don't forget about him. I just yeah.
Sorry, Rich, I tried.
I mean, it's just like, no, I got to plug so many things. We got so many plugs that we might be blowing the budget soon. But yes, I mean, just to make that frown upside down on you, RK Athletics. There you go. I saw that smile of yours. So yeah, no, go to RK Athletics 1. Go check out Rich. Go pick up some advice about all your nutritional supplements that you want to use. Just advice on the working out. Shaping your body shouldn't be work. It should be pleasure. Make sure you're doing that because, man, living a healthy life is so rewarding. We just want you to make sure that you're happy when you look in the mirror, and you can do that by checking out RK Athletics 1. And you know what? If you don't even live in the vicinity of Rich, he does online seminars. So, I mean, he caters to you. So it's always nice to have. Bobby, what do we have for you coming forward?
Coming up, I'm back on the editing floor at the moment, so hopefully we'll have some new matches from PPW coming out very shortly here. We just about to step into the commentary phase of that portion. We'll have a gimmick battle royal coming up and some matches that we recorded back in October. And then I also started working matches from January show as well too, and they are looking fantastic. So we will eventually find that new our first ever PPW champion one day here very soon. And in the meantime and in between time, you can always catch my opinion along with Pop Smokes over at Ring Respect Radio on YouTube as well.
Very good. And before we get there, I'm just gonna check out all the rest of the comments here. No, I think that is it. We are definitely caught up on the comments, so that is good. Just gonna let and inform everyone that you can follow me at Chris Parrish on the Twitter, at Chris.Parrish on the Instagram, and at the Chris Parrish on Twitch when I do decide to get that going. And with that being said, I am now going to give everyone an announcement, and that is this, unfortunately, will be my last appearance at Love Wrestling. I've decided to take a step away. I've decided that I just need to worry about me. So I'm going to just do that. So I just want to thank everyone. I want to thank you, Bobby, for being a part of my last rendition here. I'm gonna miss
the hell out of you on here, brother.
I'm gonna miss the stream that is known as the Brunch Busters because busting makes me feel good. But yeah, no, I just want to say thank you for everyone, and thank you for the 12 plus months that I've spent here. So thank you so much, everyone. But with that being said, make sure you come and always check out everything that we're doing here in Love Wrestling. And it's always very, very positive. So make sure not only are you staying safe at home, you're definitely taking all your precautions. I know the COVID is all real. So make sure you're doing all that to help out everyone, but make sure that if there's a local event in your area, go and check that out. Supporting independent wrestling is huge. And make sure that you, at the end of the day, you love wrestling, because that is what it's all about. Thank you guys. Have a great rest of your Sunday and take care.